Good morning. Happy Thursday. I'm so glad that you could join me for Collections and Connections. Happy Thursday. I am America's Supermom, and I'm excited to be here with you today to discuss collections and connections. So, I first want to introduce myself and let you know that I am Lachelle Atkins, also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children. And I am a vitality coach to help you navigate through the chaos of overwhelm, burnout, depression, and transform that into clarity and confidence with a smile. So, my story is overcame 13 years of depression, 3 hospitalizations, and now I am passionate about sharing my story with everyone, right? Letting them know the ups and downs, the highs and lows, so that they can avoid making the same mistakes I did. So I'm excited to be here today because one of the pathways to overcoming that depression was changing my mindset. And that happened through reading, podcasts, and conversations. So I love discussing connections as well as collections because it is the people and conversations that really help me to transform and be the person that I am today. It was something that I just didn't do on my own. It took me being honest about my situation and getting insight and clarity and direction from other people. And that is my secret to continually being successful is it's not about me, but it's about the village, right? It's the mindset of understanding that you're not alone, and that's the biggest pitfall of them all, right? Is thinking that you have to bear the burden of whatever you're experiencing by yourself. You don't want to burden anybody. You can do it alone. You're just going to start out, doing it by yourself. Later on, if it gets out of control, then you'll ask for help. That's a recipe for disaster. Been there, done that. So, this series is all about discussing some of the books and resources that really can help with our self development. I have several people that are authors that are in my network, and I'm even looking forward to sharing some of their insights through some of their written work as well. So, this is always the fun part is thinking about, well, what 3 books am I going to have? Because I'm telling y'all, I have a lot of books. So, the first one that we're going to talk about today is Earn the Right to Win: How Success in Any Field Starts with Superior Preparation. So, this is a book about the head coach of the New York Giants, right? And so, the foreword is by Michael Strahan, and it is Father's Day, right? So, this is I talked to you guys yesterday about what I do with these books when I give them away. So, Father's Day is approaching this Sunday. So, this was a um, book that I gave to my husband for Father's Day. So, again, haven't had the chance to read it, but I just want to start with a passage of it, because this is just like a sample, like you do at a in the mall when you go to a food court. They have the different restaurants that are there and they give you a sample. So this is what this is. Okay. So we're going to dive right into chapter 1, and it's build the structure. All right. And so he starts with a quote by Vince Lombardi, and it says, "A man can be as great as he wants to be. If you believe in yourself and have the courage, the determination, the dedication, the competitive drive, and if you are willing to sacrifice the little things in life and pay the price for the things that are worthwhile, it can be done." So this is really, if you are willing to sacrifice the little things in life and pay the price for the things that are worthwhile, it can be done. So it's a choice, right? We're talking about mindset. So I know just in my own journey, I had to decide first, you have to be honest with yourself and have that awareness. Am I really where I want to be? Right? If you're not where you want to be, how are you going to get there? Do you know somebody who is gone where you want to go? So, like if I want to be a doctor, it doesn't make any sense for me to hang out with people that are focusing on bowling, right? That's all they do is bowl. They want to play video games or whatever. If I want to be successful at being a doctor, then I probably should be talking to other doctors to see how it's done. So I was on a live broadcast last night. And so one of the persons made a comment about traveling to Switzerland, right? So they were like, oh, I want to go to Switzerland. And I said, that's simple, right? All you need is plane tickets. See, a lot of times, if we're around the wrong people, then they would say, oh my gosh, Switzerland, why do you want to go there? Who's there? Do you know how expensive it is? And all this other kind of stuff. But if you focus on how you're going to get to that destination, then it's easier to do. Now, if you can get plane tickets, if you can see yourself getting plane tickets to, I'm in Georgia and I want to get plane tickets to Florida. If I can see myself getting plane tickets to Florida, then it should be an easy transition for me to see myself getting them to Switzerland. So sometimes just saying a different place or destination really gets us paralyzed. But if you can see yourself doing it on a smaller scale, why not do it on a bigger scale? Right? So maybe you should get out of your head and just travel and then say, I'm going to go here first and create a roadmap to Switzerland rather than just having it be someplace you want to go and then not going to get there. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. So this was the quote talking about if you're willing to sacrifice, because it does take us making different choices. So if you are where you're at right now and don't want to be there, all it takes is for you doing something different. So you first have to make that decision though, because otherwise a lot of things are on autopilot. When you're brushing your teeth, you don't really think about brushing your teeth, right? A lot of times it's a routine. You get up, that's part of your morning routine. When you shower, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, right? So a lot of these things we just don't do, right? I mean, we just don't think about. So when you're thinking about where you want to be, you have to think and make a choice to do something different in order for something different to transpire, right? So it just doesn't happen because you say, oh, I want to try this. You have to consciously put your feet on the ground and move towards that destination. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And so what happens with these habits that we've created in our life is over time, we don't have to think about them anymore, right? They just are on autopilot. So we want to be that way about things that serve us, not the things that don't, right? So you can have a habit of getting up and drinking coffee. But there's other things that go into drinking coffee because a lot of people who decide, oh, I've been drinking too much coffee, I want to stop drinking coffee. But coffee is around other routines that you might have to attach different things to. So maybe if your daily routine was to get up, turn on the coffee pot, and get ready with your day. Well, maybe you need to prep a smoothie. I'm just using this as an example in your refrigerator so that in the morning when you're used to going in the kitchen and making your coffee, you can go in the kitchen and make a smoothie. Maybe there's a book you can keep in there so that as you're uh, drinking your smoothie, you can read, right? So you can attach these little small mindset shifts with behaviors that support where you're headed. Okay. So he says, normally you begin working toward achieving your objectives from the turf up, but several times in my career, we didn't even have turf. At the Rochester Institute of Technology, for example, we had to transform a club football team into a competitive Division III program. We recruited a team by grabbing the biggest kids on campus and convincing them that they really wanted to play football. It was there that this system, which was designed to give players and coaches structure, direction, predictability, and confidence, came into being. He's telling you what is necessary. So, one of the things about being present and actively listening is that people can tell you a master class in a couple sentences. So the key thing about this situation is, one, they had to transform, they had a goal that they wanted to accomplish. They couldn't do it by themselves. So they enrolled or recruited their team, right? They had to motivate them, they had to talk to them, they had to engage with them. The next thing was they had a system. See, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, how do people get stuff done? How are they successful? They had a system that gave the players and coaches structure, direction, predictability, confidence, and that's how they were successful. So the point is, these systems, they take you working them and planning and preparation. All these things are what's allowed. So, you just don't have a book without sitting down to take the time to write it, right? So this is the book, um, Earn the Right to Win. Okay. All right. And that is the New York Giants head coach. All right. The next book, Becoming, right, by Michelle Obama. So I got this book a couple years ago, I think. Well, I'm not sure how old the book is, but I got it when it first came out. My mom got it for me, and still haven't read it. But I thought about this book because I was talking to someone on LinkedIn, I believe, and so they were asking me. Um, we were talking about books that we would recommend, and they told me that they would recommend this book. So we're going to dive into chapter 14, and it says, Motherhood became my motivator. It dictated my movements, my decisions, the rhythm of every day. It took no time, no thought at all for me to be fully consumed by my new role as a mother. I'm a detail oriented person, and a baby is nothing if not a reservoir of details. Barack and I studied little uh, Malia, taking in the mystery of her rosebud lips, her dark fuzzy head, and unfocused gaze. The herky jerky way she moved her tiny limbs. We bathed and swaddled her and kept her pressed to our chest. We tracked her eating, her hours of sleep, her every gurgle. We analyzed the contents of each soiled diaper as if it might tell us all her secrets. So totally resonate with that chapter uh 15 times over. Okay. Um Motherhood, it is a motivation. There are things that I have overcome, so many fears from simply being a mom. The first fear was having the child, right? That's the first thing that I would always think about when I was expecting. We would find out we were having another baby, and I would be like, oh my gosh, what is that delivery going to be like? Because I listened to a lot of people who would say, every delivery is different, be careful, um, what are you going to do, with all these different scenarios and stuff. But, I really tried to stay away from the negativity. I didn't watch those baby shows because I was just like, there was always some scripted issue that took place. And so I was like, I can't handle it. I didn't want any negativity. So I really kind of immerse myself in somewhat of a bubble where I just focus on the positive every time, reading to the baby, just doing different things and having structure to kind of get me out of that loop of thinking negative, afraid of the bad things that could happen. But she also talks about how you can be so consumed with your children, right? So that was really one of the things that I struggled with during my 13 years of depression, was really being consumed with what my kids were doing, right? I didn't really have a life going on. It was all about, trying to control the uncontrollables that were going on in their life, right? Because your kids are their own people. So I happened to be interviewed on a podcast with a panel, and one of the ladies said something that was so profound. She said, well, as I raise my adults, and everybody just paused for a minute. And she said, I don't want to raise my kids to be children. I want them to be adults. And a lot of times we talk about raising kids instead of raising adults. And, the destination is for them to be at the adulthood level, not at children level. And that really can impact how you parent your children, right? If you believe that you're raising adults, then it is more about modeling rather than telling them what to do all the time. It is about questioning them to help them find the direction that they want to go into. It really is a lot like coaching, right? So as I go about being a coach, it's not my role to try to tell somebody what to do. What I am supposed to do is listen to what they want and give them feedback on how they can get there. Because the choice at the end of the day is theirs. I can't control what somebody is going to do. I can only share insight and wisdom and resources for them to choose if it's important enough for them to make a difference, make a change the way they're doing something. But that's all on them, because one of the things with coaching is I can't do the work for them. Nobody can go to the gym for me, and I can't go to the gym for somebody else, right? So when we think about coaching, the best analogy that I usually use is if I'm a basketball coach, or in this case of the New York Giants, right? If I am a football coach, you know, I am not going to be out there on the field when the game is played, right? I'm going to be on the sidelines, but I'm not out there playing for any of my people, right? They have to play on their own. So it is my role to support them, help them be the best they can be, because the jersey has their number on it, not mine, right? And so a lot of people get into the whole idea of thinking, oh my gosh, I need to tell this person what they need to do. No, what you can do is give them the ability to think. So when I first got started with my business, I had a coach from the UK that charged me $1,000 a session, right? And so didn't have the money, and I didn't want to burden my husband with this, and take away from the household. So I got a part-time job, right? And dedicated that job to the resources that I needed to have a business coach. And the whole thing is people are like, oh my gosh, $1,000. What? I mean, what in the world does she help you with? But what you'll find when it comes to having a coach is they allow you the space for you to think and mastermind for yourself, right? They ask you the questions that you are often avoiding and you don't have any insight about, because you are on this roller coaster of self talk that's negative or overwhelm or whatever the case is. So, just imagine if you had somebody, if you're a parent and you had somebody sit you down and come up with all the different ways that you can entertain your kids over the summer. I'm just using that as an example. So if you had a parenting coach that said, okay, let's sit down and let's focus on, keeping your kids engaged over the summer. If you had the time to dedicate to somebody to help you with that area of your life, how much further along would you be? They could help you with chores or how to reorganize your house. And, all these things could come from taking that time and focusing in that one area, because what you focus on grows, right? So if you're focusing on positivity ways that you could do things simpler, streamline them, how you can communicate better, you're going to have better results, right? It is that focus time. So, deciding how you want to be about things and how you want to focus and be successful is part of the ways to success. We can focus, but then there's also the idea that if I'm a mother, it's not all about me and what I have going on or the kids. It's about having a co creation where we are coming together and we are both putting input for helping them to be the best that they can be. So that is becoming. All right. Michelle Obama. All right. The next one is mindset. Okay. The new psychology of success, how we can learn to fulfill our potential. All right. So this book is huge. So many people um, have talked about this book. I've started it, but I don't think I finished it. Okay. But mindset is really the key. Let me see here. There's a couple things that are standing out to me that I want to talk about. Okay. Taking charge of success. We'll just start here. Okay. Um, So, people with the growth mindset in sports, as in pre med chemistry, took charge of the processes that bring success and that maintain it. How Michael Jordan's skill didn't seem to decline with his age. He did not lose some stamina and agility with age. But to compensate, he worked even harder on conditioning and on his moves, like the turnaround jump shot, and he celebrated fall away jumper. He came into the league as a slam dunker, and he left as the most complete player ever to grace the game. All right, so this is about understanding that certain positions may be there for you, but it takes you doing the work in order to maintain it. I think that's the key here, right? So people with a growth mindset in sports took charge of the processes that bring success and that maintain it, right? So you can't be a Super Bowl athlete and think that that's going to fuel your whole career for as long as you decide to be an athlete. So, yes, that's a great feat, teacher of the year, employee of the month, all these different things. It is a reward for a catalog or a body of work, right? It's something you've been doing over time, consistently, and people recognize you for it. That recognition cannot continue to pave the way for your future. Now, what it can do is continue to motivate you to move forward. So, like for myself, it's like we've had our 10th graduation. So, even though it was like, oh my gosh, another graduation, you might have the tendency to kind of feel overwhelmed. What are we going to do? How many people are we going to invite? Or what's this party going to look like? We have a lot of unanswered things. However, we can reflect over, you know what? We got this. We have done 9 other graduations. So this 10th one, is going to be fine. Get over yourself. Stop this negative talk. I know we're in different times, but we've been here before. So what happens is when you're able to look over your life and the patterns and things that you've accomplished, it really can motivate you to maintain it because you can, at that point where you feel like you're right at the finish line, you're almost there, you feel like you can't move another step, you can think back on where you've come from and get that extra energy to keep going. And so this is really how we are able to move forward. When we think about the things that we've accomplished, it helps us to maintain it, right? So I just was pondering as I was getting up this morning because I stayed up late, binge watching, okay, TV. My kids have this series that they watch called All American. So um, they have another season. And so my daughter was like, Mom, you really need to watch it because it is crazy the stuff that's going on in the new season. So needless to say, I got my work done. It was just an easy day. We had a celebration for my daughter who turned 27 last week, but she went to Miami. They planned a girls' trip with some of her sisters. And so they were there for the weekend. When they came back, they were too tired. We were supposed to have it on Monday. Now we had it yesterday, but that party was at 3:30. So I had the whole afternoon to just binge watch TV, and it just seemed like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how early it is. Because my routine is like, by the time I'm cooking and done with that, I had dinner done early and we were just hanging out for a while. She had to be gone by 5 because she had some other things to do. It was her only day off of work. And needless to say, I was up to like 11 something watching this series. Um, but the point that I'm saying is when we are in these situations that we kind of get into the mindset of maintaining it, it just takes making a decision to do it, right? So I could have been like, oh my gosh, I was up late, I need to sleep, or just get up and later on take a nap, right? A lot of the things that I do that require me to be consistent with, I don't think about it. I just do it. It's on the calendar. I made up my mind I was going to do it. So whether it's hard or not, I just get it done. So those days that it's like, well, it's not the best hair day, you just put a hat on, right? It's not whatever, I don't feel like getting all dressed up, put on a t-shirt, right? Have certain things set up so that it doesn't stop you from your goals. But I think, I love Nike's tagline, just do it, right? If you get into this whole thing of thinking about it, well, I wonder this, I wonder that, it's never going to get done, right? So the key is to just do it. Do it uh, sloppy, do it afraid, do it whatever, because I went into this whole thing where it's like, well, I want to make sure I do everything just right. Like, I would love to have the right passages that I want to talk about every day before I get on here. But sometimes I don't. If I don't, then I read what I just happen to open up the book and think that attracts me, that will inspire me to take action. So you do what you got to do. You just got to decide that you're going to do it. Get with a group of people that can hold you accountable. My group of people is YouTube, LinkedIn, business page, and anybody else who's watching, right? Sometimes I have it on Facebook and sometimes I don't. But the point is, do something radical where you have some accountability that you have to maintain whatever it is that you're desiring. So, doing this Monday through Friday, it really helps me. People are like, oh my gosh, that's so over the top, right? But I know one of the ways that I can change things in my daily routine is to do it every day, right? So, Monday through Friday, that is how me and my co-founder started Elephant Strategy Club on Clubhouse. Monday through Friday, we would meet for an hour and a half at a minimum, right? And we would have a room, How to Eat an Elephant. That was the title. It started out How to Eat an Elephant in 21 days because we thought you had to have a room for 21 days before you can make it a club. And then we dropped off the 21 days and it's How do you eat an elephant? It's talking about the elephants in the room, the hard conversations that we don't want to talk about. We rip the band-aid off in a way that helps us to be better, right? We come together with strategy, mindset, and philosophy that helps us to open up the wounds of whatever we want to discuss, but we have a game plan on how we can navigate through that. So it doesn't have to be a one and done. It's a continual process. And so every day the elephant in the room changed so that we can get used to getting out of our comfort zone. So we did that for a whole year, Monday through Friday, complete strangers, but we still have the house to prove it. So this, they said, Chip Heath and Dan Heath, who are the authors of Made to Stick and Switch, said everyone should read this book. That's on the front cover. Okay. That book, Made to Stick and Switch, I have those too. So that might be one of the ones that I can do for tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But it looks like an easy read. It just takes, people talk about how am I going to read these books? And all it takes is setting aside the time to do it. Getting up 15 minutes early, setting your timer. You'd be amazed at how much you can read in 15 minutes. And start off where you are. Some people feel like, oh, I read slow or whatever. Take your time, be present with what you're reading. I mean, I've only read paragraphs out of these books, but it is like they really have some meat and potatoes if you're looking for it. So look at your books as what is the author trying to teach me? What can I learn from them? How can I learn and compound time from what they're sharing with me so that I don't have to make the mistakes that they made, or it can help me to level up in my own life faster. So, mindset. All right. Well, that is the episode for today. I want to thank all of you that watched live. I have my banner going. I'm trying to get it together, y'all. For any books that you might recommend, or where you're from, where you're calling from, what are your goals, who do you need to be connected with, all this you can put in the comments, because this is where things happen in the comments. I have been on podcast interviews, I've been a part of book collaborations, events, summits, um, got clients, all from the comments. So it's important for you to take that time. It's a form of networking. Things are done online now. This is how you communicate. You can wait for getting in front of that person live and in person, or you can reach out in real time where they're at. So just a quick story, because I know I'm over time. Um, what LinkedIn started out a few years back doing LinkedIn lives, but only beta. Uh, it was only a beta group who had access to do the LinkedIn lives. So one of the people who did beta was on a LinkedIn live, and I was doing Facebook live videos. Didn't know anything about LinkedIn, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to stick over here with Facebook, what I'm familiar. But I found out that I couldn't even transmit my content live because I wasn't part of the beta group. So the woman would be on consistently. And while she was on live, I was watching, I was in the comments, and I said, hey, I would love to have you do a Facebook video to share a lot of these pointers that you're sharing with everybody. What does she say? Oh, I would love to. They're live in person, right? Now, she had a lot of followers. I can't remember how many it was at the time. I think it might have been 30,000, right? There would have been no way, if I probably sent her a message or some other way, that I could have caught her attention, because with that many followers and all the engagement that she was doing when it comes to doing these live broadcasts, I would have got lost in the weeds. But it's being there when somebody is there in real time that you can make the comments and you can get their attention, because that's what they're there for. It's like being at an event and talking to the person directly while they're there, right? So this is what you can do. Now it's online. You're at home. You don't have to get all dressed up. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just simply make a comment or reach out to them. So that's my tip about the comments. Getting conscious of making intentional connections in the comments. So thank you guys so much for watching today. And remember, changing your direction is all about you making a choice. You can do this because we do hard things. And yeah, just stay positive. So I want to thank you, Mary, for joining. Thanks so much for joining live and on YouTube. And continue to be great. Keep your light shining. And I will see you guys next week. Tomorrow, if you want to join me, I will be on audio on Clubhouse and LinkedIn. So make it a great day. Adios.